efforts? Do we know who is being sent in, when power might be restored, when there might be a little relief for people in the area?
Yeah, so, I mean, we know that the power crews are going to be working through the night. That's what they just told us a short while ago. So that's going to be one of the main priorities. Again, about 6,000 people without power in Charleston County alone. A lot of the other numbers are still coming in at this point. The thing with the Charleston area especially is that no evacuation orders were given. So, I mean, you had a lot of people here who were just riding out this storm at this point. This was the big concern, was flooding, and just getting these flood waters to subside. So that's going to be the main focus. We know they're going to be at it tomorrow, and trying to get everything back in order here. But this has been, the main concern is the amount of water coming into downtown Charleston and managing it from here.
I'm looking at the waters right now. It's hard to get a grasp of how deep it is where you are. But in terms of the height of the waters and the flood levels, what can you tell us? I mean, how high has this water reached in terms of, buildings or whether or not houses have been underwater? I'm trying to get a sense of what you've seen, because all across that area, we have seen houses currently underwater. What are you seeing in Charleston?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part in Charleston, it's just made a lot of roads impassable at this point. That being said, we were down by the break wall, and we saw all this water starting to come over. It was pretty unbelievable here, Jesse, in order to see, as you see one car just steamrolling through here. That's what officials, by the way, say you should not be doing at this point. But of course, you obviously have some people who are still doing that. But when we saw, down at the break wall, this is where it's like earlier today, I mean, the water was about 10 feet below where we were standing. You could actually have a shoreline, and the next thing you know, by the time the evening rolled around, that water was billowing over the wall, and that's left a total mess over there. We can't even get over there right now because there's so much water that's up there at that point. So, I mean, it varies place to place, but they anticipated there were about 25, 30 roads that were going to be out of action as a result of this. We're not seeing houses really underwater here or anything like that. It's not to that degree that you've seen in some of the rural areas of Florida and things of that nature. But I mean, it's definitely going to be a cleanup effort here in downtown Charleston for sure.
And I'm glad you mentioned people have to stay out of that water. There's diseases, there's power lines. They're talking even about wildlife in that water as well that people have to be careful about as well. Have you spoken to people in the community? I saw that car drive by before we covered last night, people who were still out. It was the calm before the storm. Have you spoken to people in the community? Are they out at all? How are they feeling after all of this?
Yeah, I mean, going into this whole event here, Jesse, I mean, there was, that healthy sense of nervousness, I would say, is that, I mean, Charleston, I mean, this was different for a lot of folks here, is that they're used to Charleston being more so the landfall point, and here, is actually at the back end of the storm, more or less. So it was a little bit of a different feeling here. I mean, people were taking it seriously. I mean, we saw a whole bunch of people putting out sandbags. I mean, we were over at a few stores where people were picking up generators. So, I mean, people took it seriously from that end. I mean, that being said, I mean, again, it was, that healthy sense of, care for all of this is that, I mean, of course, you have some people, who do exactly what the officials say not to do, and trying to cause a scene here in the middle of these storms, driving through and things of that nature. A lot of people did take it pretty seriously, and now that the storm has moved through, you are starting to see people start to get back out and about.
Yeah, we reported earlier that there were at least 2 reported deaths. I know it still has to understand exactly what is underwater, who might have been affected. But as far as you can tell, have you noticed any injuries to people in the area as a result of the storm?
Well, we know for 2 at the very least. That video that we just showed you, there were 2 people who were in that vehicle as that car was picked up and tossed to the side of the road, and they're going to be okay. They sustained injuries and went to the hospital, but they're going to be okay. The law enforcement said that there won't be any fatalities from that. Obviously, this storm just rolled through here, so I mean, of course, there's a bit more due diligence to be done by the officials here in this area to see, what the extent of that is. Those are the only 2 injuries that we know about at this point, but we're going to try and keep on that.
All right, Robert Sherman, great reporting. Thank you, and stay safe out there, please. Thank you so much.
You got it.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.